Hello and welcome back to Corporate Hive Trifold Brochure Template help file. Wow, that was a mouthful. In this chapter, we'll be talking about editing the template in Adobe Illustrator. Like I said, once you download the file and you extract it, you will get all the different folders with the file type names. So we'll go here, and each file type has two different versions. You have a file with all the colors in one file, or you have single color variations. Now, in order to open these files, once you open the Adobe Illustrator, you can either go through File, Open, find the preferred version and open it from here, or you can just drag the file you want to be open from the Windows Explorer. Now, I have left this on purpose. Like I said, once you download the template, you'll get the folder with dummy images. Since all these images have been linked and it's been done on purpose, and you'll see why a little bit later. Once you download it to your hard drive, of course it changes the name, then the name that it has remembered in the template. So what you have to do is, it says here, cannot find the linked file, insert 07 JPEG, choose to replace to select another file, ignore, leave the link unchanged. What we're going to do, we're going to do apply to all and go to replace. Once we do that, you go and find the dummy images, and it's at insert 07, and we'll go to the replace file, and once you replace the first file, it will automatically replace all the rest of them in this template. Okay, so now we have all of our dummy images set up. What we need to do is to open the panels that we're going to use throughout this editing session. Now, first of all, we need to open up the Layers panel. We go to Window, Layers, or just press F7. Okay, Layers is here. I'm telling you this in case you don't have this already open up. If you do, no biggie. We'll just go through here. In the Layers panel, as you can see, I'm just gonna size it a little bit so you can see what's going on. In the Layers panel, the first topmost layer is the Marks and Info layer page, where you get all the technical information about where is the cut of the final design, how far you have to extend your artwork to the edge, where is the edge of the text, so on and so forth. In order to work with the file, these are locked, and once you send this file to the printer, it has been set up not to print, so you don't have to worry about that. But in order to work the file, we're just gonna turn off this layer. We're gonna leave the layer of guides on. As you can see, they're also locked out, and you have the front and the back page of the brochure with all the different pages in separate layers so you can work easily with them. Okay, now the next thing we need to open up will be the Swatches panel. We'll go to Window, Swatches, and here we'll get all the different, okay, here we'll get all the different colors and swatches that we can use in this file, create our own, and we're going to be talking a little bit later about that. Also, we need to open up a gradient window, so we'll go to Window, Gradient. Again, let's open up this one. Just close this so it doesn't bother us anymore. We're going to be working with gradients also. Now we can merge these two into one, and we're going to put the layers on the side so we can work with all of them at the same time. Okay, now that we have got that one open up, because of the slight transparency we have going on here, we're going to need a transparency panel. So we'll go to Window, Transparency. Okay, you got that one open up. We're gonna put transparency behind the gradient because we're not gonna use both of them at the same time. And finally, let's open up two more panels. We need to open up the characters panel. We're gonna go to Window, Type, Character in order to work with the text. And in order to work with the linked images, we're gonna open up Windows and find links here. Okay, and put links and layers here. Actions we can close. Okay, now once we have all the necessary things open up, let's just put it on the side here. Okay, I'll just put the characters panel here. Great, so we can start working with the panel. Okay, let's start with the color editing. Now, when it comes to the color editing in Adobe Illustrator, you can edit the entire file in less than a couple of minutes. The way this template works is that I have created all of these colors have been created from the global swatches, which means that if you wish, for instance, let's say we want to make this blue a little bit darker, we want to make this 150. Okay, that one is already in use. Let's try something that is a little bit more distinct. Okay, so let's say we want to make this blue a little bit darker. We do this, you can check the preview and you can see all the colors that have been connected to this one have been changed. So you have all the colors of this blue changed. Now we can do the same thing for this one. We're gonna, let's say, use 50 and then add 50 here. Let's go to a little bit greenish blue, and now all of our colors connected to this one have been changed. Now naturally you can change all these colors by clicking and choosing a color from the slider, for instance, or you can select a color you wish to change and then go to Select, Scene, Fill Color. In this instance, it will select all the colors. In this case, it's a gradient color. All the gradient colors with the parameters you have just chosen. And then once you change this one, it will change in all the different variations. Now, if you notice, and let me change this to something that you can actually, I'm going to change this to some horrifying color. Let's put a magenta in so you can see the change. Once you change the basic colors, the gradients that have been made out of these colors will be changed automatically too. So editing the files in this template is really easy and really fast. There's nothing else you need to do. You can move on, changing the colors throughout the different design types. You can edit them and so on and so on. Now, when it comes to transparency editing, as you can see here, we have a little bit of almost semi-texture transparent part here. Now, if we double click on it, because this one has been selected as layer, you can see that all these have been created by a multiply and 100% opacity. Now we can change that. Let's say we want to make it into a screen, and you double click out of it and you get a different result. Now all you have to do is double click on the transparency, select the files you want to edit, and edit them. We're gonna slide down the transparency a little bit, and here we go. Now let's talk about editing the text. Now this is quite simple. You can either double click on the text you wish to change and then just type the name of your company, or you can select the text tool, type tool, and then go to the select text and then just change it here. Okay, now we got that one settled out. Once you get your text typed in, you can change the font. Let's say we change this to narrow. You can change the size of the font through the character panel. You can change how much distance you have between the letters. And you can change whether or not you want this one to be underlined, bold, etc., etc. Whatever you can change, whether it's bold or regular here. It depends on the font, which types of options you will have when it comes to editing the text. And that will be it. Like I said, all these paragraphs have been created in a way that you don't have to retype everything. You can just copy and paste your own text and then shift it, make it bigger, smaller, depending on what you want from this template. Okay, next thing we're going to be talking about is image editing. Like I said, all these images, as you can see, let's find links. All these images have been linked to the file. Now we can edit those links by editing the context. And once you press this little circle here where it says edit contents, you will see the file is linked, and you will see the link for the file, and you have several options. You can either go to relink the file, you can edit the original, you can update the link, you can change the placement options and the link information. Now when it comes to relinking the file, you can use that option to choose your own file. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to go here. I have some dummy clothing line, and let me choose this one. So once I relink the file, now this is the file I chose. As you can see, it has been relinked to fit the original size, and we can either make it bigger, we can, once you double click on it, you can change the position, etc., etc. Now what I usually like to do when it comes to these templates, especially when I have link files available, I like to open them up in Photoshop. I take the original file that I have, I open it up in Photoshop, and then I like to place the file I want. Let me just do this new file. I'm going to place it in the container, so I know exactly how big it is, where it goes. Let me just modify this. I'm just gonna put the layers here so you can see what I'm doing. Once I have it here, I'm just gonna merge these two together to create a background, save it. I like to save my files maximum. And once that has been done, all I have to do, once I go back to the Illustrator, it will tell me that some files have been modified in the links panel, and do I want to update them now? I'll check yes, and all these files have been updated. So I don't have to go through each file from the Illustrator. I can open all these images in Photoshop, add my own knowing how big the template is, how much space I have, change all of them in the folder, and that's it. It is simple to edit all these items in Adobe Illustrator. Once you have done your basic editing, there are basically two ways to send this file to the printer. First of all, I strongly advise, once you're saving the file, to save the version with the fonts untouched and the link files in them, so you can edit the fonts later on. But if you're sending this to your printer and you're sending it in Adobe Illustrator, what you need to do is select all the fonts. You can do that through select object, and then let's find text objects, and then we'll go to edit, object, expand, and turn all these fonts into the curves, so there's no changes, accidental changes in the printing. And one more thing you have to do, all these images, you should, if you're sending the Illustrator file to your printer, you have to embed all these images, okay? So what you do is go through this and then embed. Now, let's see if I can do more of them. You can select all of the files above and embed them in the file. It will make your file bigger, but then you won't have to send the additional folder with the additional files, and there will be no mistakes for the printer. Okay, we're gonna save this as print, so we know that's the version. I strongly recommend you save it. You contact your printer before saving the file to know in which version you need to save it. If they have a newer version of Illustrator than you do, you can just save it in your own. It doesn't present a problem. It presents a problem when you save it in a newer version than they have. So make sure you know which version of the Illustrator your printer has, so you can send the appropriate version. I'm gonna say OK, and that's it. That was the chapter on how to edit the files in Adobe Illustrator. In the next chapter, we'll be talking about editing the files in Corel. See you then.